Imagine constructing a resort world brimming with, let's say, a vast quantity of livestock slaves. I mean, what could go wrong? Well, we get a trade value that is no longer fully displayed. In fact, it's almost 210K with just over plus 1,500% trade value solely from pop jobs. Pop jobs? Of course, I'm referring to clerks, and this is due to the recent change in the 3.9 open beta. In fact, the clerk job has been nerfed, now producing only 3 instead of 4 trade value. In the latest update of the open beta, this has been adjusted. The 3 trade value remains, but in addition, each clerk increases the trade value by 1%. This has repercussions for many trade builds. The Ecumenopolis is especially affected as it barely produces any of the new trader jobs and has historically relied heavily on its plethora of clerk jobs for a substantial part of its trade value. Even with almost all late-game buffs, we now only achieve a value just shy of 13K, which is less than half of what we used to have. This is mainly because clerks have undergone another nerf. The Merchant Guild Civic now enhances the base trade value for traders, not clerks. When we compare this to a similarly sized standard urban world, it still achieves over 8K. This clearly shows that the bulk of the trade value no longer comes from the clerks, who now produce only 6 trade value even with all the buffs, but from the new trader job, which generates almost 19. This shortfall can be somewhat mitigated by adopting the so-called Ecusort strategy, a blend of Ecumenopolis and Resort World. I'll provide a link on how to create such a world at the end of the video. With it, we can achieve 25K trade value with approximately 370 pops. This is achieved by leveraging the numerous clerk jobs inherent in an Ecumenopolis and amplifying them using the resort buff, which grants an additional clerk job for every 2 pops. All these planets, however, are not truly efficient and are considerably weaker than in 3.8. Hence, we're on the hunt for a world that doesn't solely rely on commercial zones to create trader jobs, but also utilizes districts. And only the Ringworld offers this. A fully developed Ringworld with 4 ring segments achieves close to 60K trade value, amounting to 15K per segment. It's not outstanding, but it's the best ratio we can currently achieve. The reason is that Ringworlds allow for the construction of trade districts, which in turn offer trader jobs. As a result, Ringworlds offer almost double the number of trader jobs compared to regular planets or an Ecumenopolis. Interestingly, an unfinished Shattered Ringworld performs not much worse than an Ecumenopolis. It yields nearly 12K trade value with 140 pops, of which a staggering 84 are trader jobs. By the way, the trader job received a buff in the latest patch, now only requiring 1 consumer good for upkeep instead of the previous 2. If one is aiming for a trade-focused build, it might be worthwhile with the Shattered Ring origin to first clear the 2 cheaper blockers on the uninhabitable planet, and then establish 1 or 2 trade districts there. Subsequently, you can relocate pops to immediately fill the productive trader jobs while focusing exclusively on research in the main segment, gradually building more districts as more blockers are cleared. Well, we will give it a thorough test after the beta ends. For the sake of completeness, here's the result of a standard resort world, generating approximately 10K in trade value. This underscores the point that an Ecumenopolis no longer distinguishes itself as a leading trade world, since this value here can be achieved even without the planetary ascension buff. With the urban resort, one can achieve an even higher value than an Ecumenopolis, reaching close to 14K. All it takes is a simple trick, similar to the one used for the Ecusort. When prioritizing the highest value, the resort world with livestock slaves obviously comes out on top. However, the trade value per pop isn't 100% comparable here, since the buffs were slightly different than the others. This is more of a meme build, albeit a fun one. Following this is the Ecusort, then the Ringworld. Next up is the Urban Resort, followed by the Ecumenopolis, then the Shattered Ringworld, and lastly the Urban World. In terms of efficiency, which translates to how much trade value we get per pop, there are some surprising results. The Shattered Ring segment, with an impressive 84 trade value per pop, tops the chart by a significant margin. Following that, we have the Repaired Ring segment at 78, and then the Resort World with livestock. It's worth noting that the latter also produces a significant amount of food. which the other planets don't offer. Following this, planets with significantly fewer trader jobs naturally reflect a decrease in efficiency. For trade builds post 3.9, it seems the strategy moving forward, especially in the early to mid-game, will be to generate as many trader jobs as possible to stay competitive. But things might shift again. Only time will tell. What are your thoughts on this? If you want to learn how to create an Ecusort or an urban resort, click on this video. Otherwise, thank you for watching.